And also what's happened is that overall trade has declined. Our trade as a proportion of GDP is down.
No, you can
That's from the Federal Reserve.
No, it's not.
Let's watch these two Brexit critics completely lose their composure over some Brexit truth bombs, when Novara Media's Michael Walker managed to get the often outspoken Jacob Rees-Mogg and economist Catherine McBride into quite a heated discussion. The exchange quickly became tense, with strong opinions being thrown back and forth as each side defended its position. What followed was a lively debate packed with disagreements, sharp responses, and plenty of political drama.
We seem still to be wanting to do things with Europe that will undermine this.
Well, I mean, that's because the gamble of Brexit hasn't really paid off. I mean, great if we're going to get slightly cheaper orange juice.
Oh dear, he's mentioned the B word. That'll get Smogg's pencil twitching, won't it?
But I mean, if you look at any of the expert organisations, they're saying that cumulatively, Brexit has caused somewhere between a 3 and 8% hit to growth. Or a hit to
Hold
GDP.
on, I'm going to bring Catherine on that because we simply know that's not true.
It's not even vaguely true. I mean, it's just one of those headlines. It's the other one that you throw around.
It's the National Bureau of Economic Research, the Office of Budget Responsibility, Goldman Sachs.
Office of Budget Responsibility simply hasn't done its own research. They've just aggregated other people's.
Yes.
And they've now run away from that figure.
And that figure from the OBR was done before Brexit. Some of the estimates, they just took an average of 13 estimates. They left out the best estimate, which was zero change, and that was from the Economists for Free Trade. They just dropped that one quietly.
The Economists for Free Trade, often known as EFT, is a UK-based lobbying group that supports unrestricted trade and has argued in favour of a no-deal Brexit. The organisation is led by Professor Patrick Minford and promotes policies that focus on reducing trade barriers and increasing economic freedom.
Well, I think that it's perfectly true that if you remove protection of the sort that has been given in particular to the car industry and to other manufacturing industries inside the protective wall, you have got you're going to have a change in the situation facing that industry, and you are going to have to run it down, and it will be in your interest to do it, just in the same way that we ran down the coal industry and the steel industry. These things happen.
For those who strongly support Brexit, are you happy with the outcome? And who else serves as an advisor to the Economists for Free Trade? According to the discussion, it includes Jacob Rees-Mogg along with several other well-known Brexit supporters. It was also interesting to see how quickly both speakers moved to shut down his point, especially considering that it was his question in the first place. With that said, let's get back to the interview.
And the World Bank had the worst one. They said it would be a 10% drop, but they were assuming we'd get no trade deal. And they did say that, but that was also
These
negated.
are from 2023, 2024. So this
the OBR continues
before.
to use it, but it was in their 2020 paper, and you can look that up. They always acknowledge that you have to go back to the March 2020 publication.
I mean, lots of it is based on forming a sort of dummy model of the alternative. So what they do is they sort of average out all the different countries.
Would you like to explain the doppelganger and the countries that they use in the doppelganger? Because it's New Zealand, isn't it, and the United States. It's not Germany and France, which they leave out.
Everyone has their own doppelganger.
Yes, we cherry-pick figures that support our narrative. You may also notice that Jacob Rees-Mogg allows Catherine McBride to continue presenting her arguments at length, while frequently interrupting or dismissing the facts and evidence being raised by Michael Walker. The exchange becomes increasingly heated, with both sides accusing the other of selectively using information to strengthen their case. As a result, the discussion shifts away from the evidence itself and toward disagreements over how that evidence should be interpreted.
Some of the worst ones do include places that are not in the EU. And they all had a very heavy correlation with the US, which has performed incredibly well because of its amazing amount of energy. And so when you look at them, and this has been done by Graham Goodgen, who's a professor of econometrics at Cambridge, and he's analysed it and discovered that most of them, they're actually just mimicking the US, which is not a member of the EU.
Maybe so, but is America really on our doorstep? Do American farmers want British farmers flooding their market with products? I doubt they do. There is also the practical question of distance. How fresh will British fish be by the time it reaches American consumers? These are some of the challenges often raised when discussing trade opportunities outside Europe. Supporters and critics may disagree on the benefits, but they remain important questions worth considering. Catherine, back to the interview.
So to try and pretend the UK would have had the same sort of growth as the US, which is not a member of the EU, if we had been a member of the EU, then, that's ridiculous. And
you can, though, look at... this is modelling, obviously, and obviously people can disagree with how you model. It's always difficult to model. But we can look at what's actually happened as well, which is that business investment has flatlined from 2016
No, look at
very
what's
clearly.
actually happened
And
in
also
France.
what's happened is that overall trade has declined.
No.
Our trade as a
No,
proportion
it
of GDP is
hasn't.
down.
No, you can
That's
look
from the
at-
Federal Reserve.
No, it's not. Which Federal Reserve? It's called the ONS, the Office of National Statistics. They publish it every month. There is no month when trade has gone down except in 2020 because of COVID.
So trade intensity as a proportion of GDP. All of the papers I've been reading today said that trade is down, and that has given a hit to productivity because obviously more trade, more productivity because your companies have to get more efficient.
Yes, when the figures do not support their argument, the response often seems to be to dismiss the evidence altogether. At this point, I get the impression that Catherine McBride may be viewing the Brexit debate through a strong lens of confirmation bias, focusing on the statistics that support her position while giving less attention to those that do not. Critics would argue that this kind of selective use of data makes it harder to have an honest discussion about the real impact of Brexit. It is also interesting that some of the figures and arguments being referenced come from a lobbying group founded by Brexit supporter Patrick Minford, with Jacob Rees-Mogg also serving as an advisor. That connection is certainly worth noting when considering the source of the claims being made. And, of course, there is the wider argument that many critics of Brexit continue to raise. They believe the campaign was driven largely by wealthy and influential figures and that the biggest benefits have gone to those at the top, while ordinary working people have seen little improvement in their daily lives. Supporters strongly disagree with that view, but it remains a central part of the debate. But anyway, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a wonderful weekend, and until next time, take care, my friends.